Hello there, and welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We hope everyone's settled in and having a great day because we're about to have a blast. We've got some awesome guests on the panel tonight. You can find the links to their channels in the description below, so be sure to check them out and see what they're all about. I sure do hope that you've gone to the bathroom already, everybody, because the show is about to begin. Take it away, Flippin' Rook.
Shall we begin?
So it begins. And now it begins. So it begins.
And so it begins.
Shall we begin?
Shall I begin?
Shall we begin? Shall we begin? Shall we begin?
Shall we begin? Welcome back, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Oh, yes. As we begin with the Fandom Collective Nerd Blast. It's been a little while since we did one of these, but we are back with our awesome guest, Gary from Pop Culture Minefield. What's up, man?
Hey, not too much, man. Just sort of hanging out. Been doing art all day and arguing with people online. Woohoo!
That's good. Did your buddy turn into a Yoda behind you, or no?
No, that's of course the child.
Oh, indeed.
It even says it on it. The child.
Even though he's not looking at us, I feel like he's looking at us.
Yes, he's. There's a really good likeness on this toy. I really like this. And of course, my girlfriend gave me a bunch of them, so the stuffed one goes to the big one now. And like I said before, there's another one, the ugly one, and it's like envious and has to sit way over here, away from everybody.
Oh yes, discluded. The poor thing.
Red-headed stepdad.
Oh, yeah. And also with us, of course, is the Doubt Flip himself. Flipped out. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be here. Glad that you could make it, Jerry. Gary.
Hey, you got to drink. It's a drinking game now.
That's
Every time somebody mispronounces my name, they have to chug or take a shot.
All right, hold on.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Yeah, it's always good to keep a good
After my buddy over at Fanzine did that, I'm like, you can't. Not once did you get my name right. Not once. He just kept saying my name right. I'm like, it's even written there.
Yeah, just call you Gerald. All right. Just did go completely off with that. But yeah, so I hope that you're doing all right with all the crazy stuff going on in the world these days. If you're on the West Coast, we got a lot of fires going around the last few days. There's, even though there's not any really near me, there's been a lot of smoke coming around the area quite a bit, and it's kind of annoying. But yeah, I don't think it's anything too bad as far as my location goes. And then we've had 20-mile-an-hour winds though the last 2 days, which is blowing a lot of debris everywhere. But other than that, nothing too bad as far as I can tell. You doing all right where you are?
Me? Yeah, fine.
That's good. What about you, Flip? Any pianos fall from the sky or anything?
Nothing like that. We got a little overcast day here in Atlanta. The automatic weaponry is light and coming from the east. Seems to be pretty well.
That's good. Averaging 14 deaths a day. It's down, 5, right?
Right. Down 5, yeah.
Well, it sounds like the NASDAQ. Okay.
NASDAQ.
But no, here in the Midwest, it's just it's calm. Joplin, Missouri is we never really fell under the gun like everybody else did over the virus. So businesses are thriving, and it's doing really well. And it's really been kind of warm weather, but not overly hot.
Yeah,
it's not like your shirt's sticking to you, which is what Missouri really is. It's funny. Yeah. I swore I'd never live here when I was in the Army because I trained here in basic training.
Yeah, not too hot, not too humid. But yeah, I mean, it's our business over here is getting pretty much normal, I'd say, but it's nothing's thriving over here really. But it's almost as if it's kind of back to normal, which is all right.
Well, the biggest thing I'm jealous about Rookie is he lives near the singer for Alice in Chains. So close, so close.
Yeah, but I also live near all the Portland crazies and the Seattle crazies. So if you want to trade locations, by all means, I'll go down to Georgia.
Good to bad. Fair enough.
You can live by Portland, and you can have fun with that. Take that responsibility.
Hey, are you guys a legalized state?
Are we a legalized state?
Yeah. Are you legal, like as in the greenery, grass?
Oh yeah, most likely. Yeah. Oh yeah, we have pot shops like every couple of businesses down. Pretty much, there's at least 6 like on just like within a 10-mile radius. I swear.
Well,
like on the same road.
you'd think that'd mellow some people out a little bit. Like, hey, man, you want to go down and protest? Nah, man, I'm watching this, show.
No, you see that's in Portland though, where they're doing that. I'm over the bridge from Portland, so thank
Huh.
God. But yeah, I see what you mean. But it's getting close to winter, so let's see how long it all keeps up. I suppose when it starts to get cold and winter has come. But anyway,
Winter is coming.
yes, winter is
Winter.
coming. Yes, today, or before we get into everything, real quick, just giving a shout out to our patrons. We got the Mongo's Big Thinks, the Gilkinator Thomas Gilkey, Culture Casino, the Atlantean, Angelus Draven, Inside the Holocron, the Wilk Report, New Comic Book Normie, James Clark, Douglas Nelson, Rev Kev, Fallon Reacts, one of our newest patrons, as well as Geeky T42. So I'll be a while before that one rolls off the tongue for me, but I'll get that. And yeah, so today is pretty much, we didn't pick out topics necessarily beforehand, but we got a general things and stuff that we're going to talk about with our buddy here. And right before we went on, you mentioned the decline of movie theaters this year. Now, I feel like that's we touch on that every now and then as the further we get into all this. And I was among the mindset too that theaters were probably going to be a good, strong stay for another 20 or 30 years, but now it's declined to a total of maybe 5 years at best, as far as being relevant. What do you think?
It's important what happened a few weeks back with movie studios being allowed to. They overturned that law that prevented studios from owning theaters, because we're going to see more specialized movie theaters.
Wait, there's a law. There's a law before that said that.
Oh yeah, that was
theaters.
that was way back. That was created in the 50s, and that was late 40s, early 50s, and that was really when we saw the end of the studio system, because when they couldn't own their own theaters to show their films, that a theater had to be. They were trying to prevent monopolies. Is really what it was all about, and. So a theater needs to be not owned by one studio, so only one studio gets to put its films in there. But now we're going to see specialized movie theaters, because everything, with the onset of this disease, the Miley Cyrus disease, that basically, theaters are finding it difficult. And I don't know, Dune is going to be a big turning moment for theaters. Because if it can make the budget that it requires, not budget, but the ticket sales that it requires, there's some hope for movie theaters. But if it doesn't pull in the money that it needs to turn a profit, because it needs to turn at least 400 to 500,000 just to break even.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know if it can do that.
$400 million is a lot of money. 400 to 500 million, and they're going to have to make at least 800 to 900 before they consider that a profit, a real profit. Warner Brothers. So with the legal change, I think they want that in their hip pocket in case the theater system collapses, and there's a really good chance it's going to. I mean, it's just like mom and pop comic shops; they're collapsing everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And now theaters are going through the same thing. These politicians don't take into consideration what they're doing when they shut things down, and they're they want to do damage to something for political gain, but they're not considering the individuals involved when they do it. And it's changed. It's changed the landscape. Video on demand is now going to become a primary thing. You watch. And that's something that Keith and I predicted on our show, that was going to inevitably come about. Right now, we just saw a massive change of management over at Netflix. And the primary plan is to increase subscribership. Why they did it.
Yep, is that what you think as well, Flip? I know we've kind of talked about this quite a few times too.
I hate it that they're going to disappear. And I think he's right. Like it's so visually obvious that they're struggling. I mean, and that they're kind of going away. We've got Tenet just out. We've got Dune coming, which, oh my God, is going to be great to see in the theaters. specifically IMAX. I mean, I hope it's not true, but it sure does look a lot like it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, it's like, and there's a huge opening here, and this is the one thing that I see as a positive part of this. It's a huge opening for independents, for independent filmmakers and independent comic companies and producers.
Yeah, and I feel bad for the mom and pop, comic shops. I feel so bad for them. Like a lot of people, they dumped life savings into creating their business. Maybe they've been around 1 year, maybe they've been around 10 years or more. But this is a business. It's their life's blood. And I know I was in during the housing explosion in 2000. What was it? 2003 to 2008 ish. I was really doing well. I got stupid pay for doing stupid easy work. And then when it disappeared, it was life altering. And I think this reaches more people worldwide as a mom and pop's business, soul crushing entity than that ever did. And so I have a real special place in my heart for feeling for them.
I know, right? I mean, our theaters going to pretty much be the same as these mom and pop shops. Just oh yeah, there's one of those things. Let's go see, check out how they're doing these days. A few years down the line. What unfortunately comes down to, I'm going to say hello to the chat. We got a few people coming in. We got Over Easy Mode, and we got Brian TV. What's up, guys? I know there's a lot of people streaming on Wednesdays these days, so divided attention. That's all good.
Yeah, I've got a buddy that's live right now.
Oh, yes, indeed. Tis becoming the day of choice, which is great.
Fridays, oh my God, we post like almost 30 people going live on Fridays. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, I'm hoping that theaters at least, I feel like there's ways that they could adapt to all this stuff, but, I mean, it depends on what they're willing to do. And theaters they'd have to make more of a profit than they currently do because the way they are structured right now, I could see why, it's almost like you might as well have a studio own one, or somehow divvy them up enough to where a couple of studios can present them, or, maybe they have, a studio presents a different one. I mean, I know that sounds more monopoly and not as good either, but if that's the alternative to them being completely destroyed like movie theaters, then I guess I'd be for it, but I'm not sure.
Maybe it'll roll toward more specialized type of theaters.
But like in what way specialized? Like,
well, IMAX is specific, but not a lot of people can make their films, especially full-length films, with IMAX. And another way they might be specialized is, say, maybe James Cameron's theater complexes. Like he'll want to, whenever Avatar 2, 3, 4, whatever, whenever the sequels do come out, he'll want them presented in a very specific fashion.
Well, exactly. But Disney owns those now. And so I see Disney opening their own chain. A great potential for that. But one of the things, to go back a little bit on it is anytime you're showing films that had comic books involved with them, they should have the old spinners out there in the movie theater lobbies with comics in them. And it's a way for the theater to earn a few bucks, and it's more money for the studio that's putting out the film, Marvel, DC, whatever, and they wouldn't do that. There should be more merchandising going on inside movie theaters to help, rather than just charging an arm and a leg for a hot dog. Hey, how much is that chili dog? $12. Wow. I hope that comes with a midget.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The Cinetopia theaters, which there was only 4 in the world at the time when they were around. Then AMC bought them out after some legal thing, which was ridiculous. But Cinetopia was one of the best theaters, in my opinion. They'd have arcades in their lobby. They'd make it very adult centric as far as in the theaters go. And there's even like a Vinatopia where you could have like a fancy, dinner there if you wanted. You can do your dinner and a movie in the same place essentially. And then also some fine dining food options while you're watching the movie. I don't know, it was good. You could have a nice burger or a nice, steak or something, get some alcohol, whatever on your date, and very comfy seats, very just awesome room, great sound quality in there. but those were only 4 theaters, and they all got bought out by AMC, and now they're crap.
So you guys think that possibly these Disney-owned theaters will grow since, the mom and pops will go out of business, Regal will be struggling, Disney will purchase more of these, and then maybe even in my thought here, do you think that they'll probably reduce the amount of theaters so that when you do go, it's a big experience, you're willing to fork out money? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. It's hard to say. I mean,
Oh, don't make it sound like it was that great a question. It was okay.
yeah, well, it's like because would you want to have more Disney theaters around for more people to get to, or make it an event to go to one? I mean, I don't even know.
I think that the entire law in the first place was stupid. I think studios owning a theater for their movies it should have been the way it was allowed to go for the rest of the time. They were doing just fine.
Well, hold on. No, I kind of disagree though, because of that. I assume that's accounting for independent films or ones with lower studios that are upcoming. They don't have.
You still have independent theater. You always have independent theaters, but I think that a studio owning a movie theater and promoting just their films is not that bad a thing. But having the Cineplex, like we've always seen in the past, I think it's a dying breed. I got to tell you, man, I don't want to go to the movies most of the time. It needs to be something special for me to want to go out there and mingle with people. I'm an introvert. I know it doesn't sound like it because I'm, outgoing and charming and funny.
No,
but, I prefer staying in. I don't really want to go out. And if I have a chance to, because if you go to a movie, like if you're a couple or a couple with a kid, you're going to spend upwards of $30 to $50 in a movie theater.
See, I feel like there should be an option for at least in a movie theater to have a few rooms that is dedicated to family stuff. As far as like if you're gonna go see I don't know, The Incredibles or something, you can choose to do that in the family room where there's definitely like you don't have to worry about bringing your kid because other people have their kids in there as well, most likely. So even if it's like an annoying experience for a family, it's like you at least know what you're getting into with it, rather than just into the normal theater with your kid and everyone else is annoyed that you brought them. It's like, oh well, your kid.
Well, that's why Over Easy said it there and sort of flipped out. I'm having trouble saying that. Absolutely, I'm in 100%. We have one here in Missouri where I'm at. Actually, we have a couple, and a couple of theaters in the region became drive-ins, the regular movie theaters. They let people park out there and they broadcast through Wi-Fi and people sat out in the parking lot and watched movies.
Yeah, I've heard that it's a good option, but I've also heard there's lots of issues that come up with it just being drive-ins because there's certain weather things. There's certain sometimes the audio transfer I've heard isn't always the best, and I've heard it's not as simple as we can just play it outside. It's like, well, it kind of depends, and there's things that can ruin it a little bit as well. So, but I do agree that especially nowadays, that'd probably be a better option to have. To
and
start working on.
And because like the one in Marysville, it's closed part of the year because of winter. It doesn't open until spring and stays open through part of fall and then closes.
Now, what would be kind of cool is if they had like a stadium or something to have like a big old screen or a couple screens you can drive up in your car into the thing, so it's still protected by the weather and everything.
Yeah,
still
a big old awning you drive inside of and park all your cars.
Yeah, park your cars. Social distance, 6 feet, and then still have that. That'd be pretty fun.
And I could sit in my car and do this to other people looking through my window, and they finally look at me. I'll look at them, and then they finally turn and look at me, and I'll go.
Yep, exactly. or even better if it comes with covers, except for on the front.
Yeah, a lot of the older theaters, the old drive-in theaters, would be like, if it rains, I mean, what do you get, a rain out? Because I mean, it's kind of hard to watch your movie through like a wet windshield.
Well, that and the screen is outside and the equipment's outside, and usually the speakers too, I assume, depending on if you have it hooked up to the radio or not.
The radio,
yeah. So I don't know. I feel like if they can improve that experience as well, then yeah, I'd say definitely you should be working on doing some good drive-in theaters. I've never been to one, nor have I ever seen one physically in real life because there's none anywhere near me.
What?
Oh.
What?
None anywhere near me. No.
That's crazy. Oh, that's my buddy Barry. I think
Yep.
once we get back to the swing of things, we'll be back in the theater. I think that they'll have a minor comeback, but it's never going to be like it was. Unless, you see movies refuse to release on video on demand.
Well, I feel like it depends on how they can improve the customer experience, because that's the one thing that not that many theaters has done. They've just kept it the same all the time, and they've done nothing to account for things that ruin people's experience. A lot of people don't like it when phones go off or there's lights being shined everywhere. I'd be like, I'd have a rule like this if I were to make the theater.
That just sets me off. I tell you.
Like as soon as you walk into the theater room, like you have a warning there that's like, all right, you're about to walk into the theater. Make sure you've checked up with your people that you need to message, or that you are ready to leave if you need to go check a call, because in the theater it ain't going to work. You can have, there's like cell phone blocker things. And
they need to have those. Nothing pisses me off faster when I go to a movie theater and somebody sitting in front of me or even right behind me turns on their phone, because you can see that light and it's very distracting. You get pulled out of the movie. And narcissistic fuckheads. I can't stand people that do that shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like if there's some type of thing that negates the use of like a text or Wi-Fi or something with the phones before you walk in, it's like it just kind of blocks it. It's like I'd be like, okay, good. So that way you beforehand you're going to be busy for 2 hours here, and if you need to go use it, you have to leave the theater to do it, and then come back in if you need to go deal with whatever. But that way, you'd have that. And wrappers. Oh my God, why do they give movie theaters wrappers? Like put them in little plastic tubs or something. Jesus Christ, hearing yeah. You like that? No. Hate that. You don't need that ever.
I think that Barry says, I think they're just so you know, Barry is I'm working with him on a comic book together. I'm drawing it. And hey Barry, is it okay if I show them a sample of some of the artwork?
Fantastic.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
I can't hear him. I'm just pretending like I can.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to, feel free, man.
Here it is. You can just pop it up there. I'm not going to show you the entire page. It's a splash page. But there's some of my artwork.
Nice. Damn.
Wow, impressive.
Thanks. I kind of do it for a living, so it's good to hear that it doesn't suck.
How long did it take you to do that one?
20 weeks.
That's a good start.
No, it's because there was no production design done for the comic. And
so you're just kind of riffing what you think it looks like or something?
Yeah, so I did my interpretation of what I thought it would look like. Barry hated it. And so he went back and because he has a particular image of what he thinks the armor should look like on these characters. I don't want to say what they are because I don't want to give anything away.
Right.
But these beings, because they're not human, are armored, characters, and he wanted them to have a particular look. Well, he knows that better than I do. So I would draw something that's not what's in his head. So I'm like, fuck it, you draw it. Show me what you want. Then that's what I'll draw. And so that's how we do it. We're, sharing the work. And as he says, still a work in progress. But anyway, let's go. I want to go back to what he said. I think that there are way too many alternative methods to viewing films with video on demand that will cost serious money. The theater is still a profitable model for the studios. And I say, is it right now? I don't think it is. I think that when Dune comes out, that's really going to be either the straw that broke the camel's back or the turning for movie theaters to survive.
Well, you see, it's like, I don't know about in your guys' areas, but like in mine, our theaters haven't even opened up yet. But if they were open yet, I would have definitely gone to them. So it's like, I don't know, like it's hard to judge with that, I guess. I mean, this is what I was thinking of too before Tenet was out. It's like, what if however many theaters ended up showing just that movie, but with all the restrictions, like how can you judge how well it's doing based on all the restrictions? It's kind of tough to figure it out. But I feel like it'll take a few months for things to adjust. But I do agree that people will start, people will want to leave the house, and seeing a movie is a fine reason to leave the house, especially if they want some different experience. I mean, that's kind of like when you watch basketball or you watch a sport, it's a lot different being present in the place than it is at home. And like I understand being more comfortable most of the time. 99% of the time, I'd say I like watching stuff at my house as well. But I do like to go and see something out in the theater. And nowadays, I'd rather see something that I think I'll like rather than something that I don't like in the theater. Because
is that what you do to go see something?
No, I don't do it
want...
not on purpose. But in 2017, I challenged myself to see as many movies as I could. I saw like 20, and I think I only liked maybe 3 of them. I saw like Annihilation, saw 12 Strong, Artemis Hotel, all those ones. I don't know. I was like, there's only a few movies total.
Those were all straight to video for me.
The Mummy, Wonder Woman. Like Wonder Woman, I liked most of it. So that was a more benefit, I suppose.
The Mummy, to me, would have been more of a theatrical film.
I mean,
I didn't want to see it.
Only if you bring friends, because it's so stupid. It's like funny stupid. But
yeah,
but
it's an epic picture is what I'm talking about. It's
right.
Like, because I saw it. It's garbage. I hated it. Great action stunts in it. Tom was fun in it. It was not a mummy movie. I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to make here, but it's not a mummy movie. Yeah. But big spectacle pictures are absolutely something that I want to see in a movie theater. What I don't want to see in a movie theater is a Jane Austen film. Or it's like, I'm not going to pay $12 a ticket to see Jane Austen movies or movies of that style.
I have no idea what that is.
Really? Oh, okay.
I'm the rookie critic. If you don't know this about me,
heathen.
There's a lot of movies I have not seen yet. I'm working on my classics. I'm working on
That's
it.
what that is. Jane Austen is classic literature. So basically, those kinds of movies are period pieces. It's dramas, comedies aren't necessarily something that you are going to want to spend $12 a ticket to go see. You can't judge profitability based on numbers now. A lot of folks are skittish. Still, the social unrest, a lot of factors are skewing numbers. That's true. And then flipped out. Nobody cares what flipped out says. Tons of factors. They need a better way to make money, no doubt. Mm-hmm. And then Barry Branscombe says children. And yeah, I'm a parent. And anyway,
yeah. You see, it'd also be nice if movie theaters added in a zapper button for somebody's chatting a little too much.
I would use that way too much for no reason. Just the are you okay?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, that's one of the worst things about going to the theater is people.
Yeah. Now I want to go something. Somebody, Brian, what's his name? Brian TV said something about seeing Tenet, and I saw it too, and as did my partner Keith. That I do the show Pop Culture Minefield with, and absolutely, I enjoyed that film. I do have to say that Christopher Nolan keeps trying. It's like he's competing with himself, and his writing shows that he's in absolute competition with himself. I have to make the film more complicated and difficult each time, and I loved it. I enjoyed the film. But I also felt that it didn't have to be so difficult. Mm-hmm. When we get to the end and we see what's really going on and we get our answer, and I felt one thing that was completely important was sort of brushed to the side as to who the character Robert Pattinson is. And I thought, yeah, it's kind of obvious who he is, but I didn't like that. I thought that that was an important thing for a payoff as to who he is. And Christopher Nolan just sort of like I wonder if people will guess it. It's like, oh my God, stop doing that.
Right. Sometimes a simpler route is better in some cases, and you can make a complicated story filled with simple stuff that's easy to follow.
Yeah.
As well.
And I'm not going to say that he's pretentious, because I don't think that Christopher Nolan's pretentious at all. But I think that he makes things more complicated and difficult for what he thinks is going to be enjoyable, because I'm creating a puzzle. And each film has to be, because I did this puzzle last film, so I better make this one a little more difficult.
Yeah, you don't have to outdo yourself every time. You can just
and this is a problem with filmmakers. They really get into this thing where it's like, oh, I did this last time, I better double down and make it even better this time. It's like, no, just make a good story. Tell me a good story. And one director who I feel has kind of lost a lot of their talent is Ridley Scott. And just enjoy it while you got it, because there's going to come a point where you're not going to have it anymore. It just happens. And Ridley Scott lost his. I mean, Prometheus was just horrible, and on every level. And visually, it was good. That's about it. The acting was good, but story structure was just all over the place. There was no real structure to that story. And they had characters doing just moronic shit. I mean, he established a rule with Alien that, and it's called intelligent horror, where if your characters, even when they do the right thing, they still might die. That was what was scary about Alien. And then you see Prometheus, and every character dies because they did something stupid.
Yeah, prequels aren't always the best route. In some cases, in most cases. I don't know, Flip, did you see the Prometheus and all that?
Yeah, I saw Prometheus. I enjoyed it. I didn't know it was part of the Alien.
You would, Flip.
I didn't know it was part of the Alien franchise until the very end. And plus, what's the girl's name? It's some weird name. Tasha Maru or whatever her name is. What's her name? The girl with the red hair in that movie? Rapace, Naomi Rapace.
Oh, Naomi Rapace, yeah.
Rapace. But yeah, she was easy on the eyes, and she had a interesting look about her. Like, I couldn't tell if she was evil or good, and then it brought me from the trailer to the movie. I enjoyed the overall story, and then when I found out it was connected to the Aliens franchise, I was a little disappointed about that.
Yeah, the trailers made me think it was going to be like an Ancient Aliens type of movie where it's like humanity's discovering that throughout history there's been, some type of commonality, and it's got to be kind of alien linked or something, and they're going to go find out where the aliens are or something, and then it's like, oh, it's literally the xenomorphs. Okay.
Well, the minute you see Brandywine involved with it, it is involved in the alien universe, period, because Brandywine owns Alien. And the only thing that they're ever involved with is something associated with Alien. Flip, you said something down there. Inception was great, but rewatchability isn't great. And that's true. That's the problem with a lot of his films. Only his Batman films are things that I can watch over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And like Inception, once you watch it, there it is. Okay.
Well, it's like even not watching it, like I've never seen it before, and I have no desire to, because like it's a dream within a dream, probably within a dream. So I don't know, they don't know if they're dreaming or not. I'm just kind of like, okay, like if I don't know, I feel like I get the gist then if that's what it is. I mean, maybe it's a little different to watch it if I don't really care enough to give it a try right now. Like, I guess I got to be in a mood for it, because it doesn't sound like one I care about watching if that's the case.
Well, there's nothing quite like watching a movie that you feel you're going to have a test at the end of it.
Okay.
And that
like,
is,
like making sure you keep all the threads you can think of, and then you miss something, and it's like, oh yeah.
Wait. There was something that happened earlier. It's like when you have to think that much when watching a film, you're no longer in the escape mode.
Well, I think that varies on how well it's executed, and like sometimes there's things that you just can't really pick up on right away, but it really doesn't affect the overall plot, but it would just strengthen the overall like filmmaking aspect, I suppose. I'm trying to think, like Back to the Future is kind of a good example where so many things happen in it, and there's a lot of things that are very small detail to notice, but you don't have to keep track of everything, as you're saying. But I
think one of my problems with Christopher Nolan's films is also his choice of soundtrack composer, because I cannot stand Hans Zimmer. I just can't stand it.
Right.
Well, he's done so many things, right?
It's
so he's
like,
probably sounding overexposed now.
Well, this is where I feel, because I need a composer who knows how to make droning sounds. I need a droning soundtrack that just drones on and on and on with repetitive wah, 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 wah. It's just like it's just like, oh my god, I cannot stand his fucking music. I can't stand it. I hate even calling it music. It's just, I really hate Hans Zimmer, and it's like gone are the days with him of having great cinematic compositions, And that's why, a lot of fans were flipping a finger to, what's his name, Zack Snyder, over the Joss Whedon version of Justice League, because they were excited to have a composer in there that actually wrote themes. And of course, they put the Superman theme in there and the Batman theme from the 1989 movie. And of course, a lot of fans were like, yeah, fuck you, we got our... And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, I'm okay with not having that in there because Zack Snyder had a vision. This is his vision. But a preference, yeah. If I'm going to buy a soundtrack, it's not going to be Hans Zimmer. It's just droning sound over and over again. I'll buy something from Danny Elfman any day.
What did you think about the soundtrack for Interstellar? That was, I believe, Hans Zimmerman.
Yeah, that answered your question right there.
Yeah, well, I mean,
One interesting fact about that, though, is that, he didn't give Hans he didn't tell him anything about the movie. He said, I want you to, he gave him some basic information about a man and his daughter, and that was about it. So everything was written based solely under the understanding that it was a movie about a man and his daughter. So when you re-listen to it, and as a musician myself, I can find strengths in that particular soundtrack, but I mean, ultimately, he does repeat himself a lot in many.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, look, a lot of composers, great composers, built their careers on repetitive music. Ennio Morricone really established that in the late 60s and going into the 70s of using repetitive notes, which John Carpenter himself started doing the thing. I forget what it's called, that repetitive notes that are repeated over and over again as a theme. And John Carpenter borrowed from Ennio Morricone with his Escape from New York and with Halloween and with, and then he worked with him to do the thing. But oddly, a lot of people don't know this, is most of the music that's in the movie is actually John Carpenter's.
Oh.
There's only one theme used in there by Ennio Morricone, but he was actually following John Carpenter's lead on that music. So it was very seamless. It worked. But yeah, when you watch the movie, that's mostly John Carpenter.
That's interesting. Do you remember the music to Rogue One? Gosh, I can't remember the guy's name that did the music. He was given 2 weeks. I'm trying to look him up. For some reason, my internet's just not cooperating with me.
I'll look it up real quick. Rogue One?
Mm-hmm. He did the soundtrack for Rogue One. Which
thing is it James Newton Howard or who was? Oh, Michael Giacchino.
Yeah, that's the guy. He's done quite a few things, and every now and then his name pops up, and I'm like, oh, really? That's not bad. First of all, being like an orchestral composer in my mind it's got to be one of the most difficult jobs as a musician. But I really liked. I didn't like Rogue One's score at first, but in replay, some of his stuff is so memorable for only having had two.
Well, he did The Incredibles too, and he did Star Trek in 2009.
Oh, wow.
He's a very good composer, and he's a classically trained composer, whereas unlike Hans Zimmer, and I'm a musician as well.
Cool.
My first job working for IDW before I was hired to do comic books was I made all of their company's animated trailers. I did all the animation in order to promote comic book titles. I did a lot from, Angel, from, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I did All Hell Megatron trailer. I did, a lot of.
Wait, you did the no? You did that?
Yeah, I did the theme on because IDW said, "Look, we're working with them, and here's the way it works: is we need to have something that sounds like the Transformer theme, but we can't use the Transformer theme, and because the departments within Hasbro have to pay the license to the other departments, and they don't want to spend any money on it." And so I was asked to, here, I'll look it up.
I was referring more to the Angel one, I suppose, because I used to. When you said you worked on Angel for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, did you mean the Angel theme that plays during its intro, or some other type of?
Yeah, I said Angel. It's the other character, the one with white hair. He was on
Spike.
Spike. I did the comic animation for that one, comic book animation. And here, I will share my screen again with audio, with share audio. There you
All
go.
right.
So now you can hear it and everything. Oh, it'll be so nice. You'll like this. This will be so nice. And I will play the trailer. Dang it. And I it's funny. My book outsold that book, the graphic novel I did for them, Cover Geronimo. And but I did the animated trailer there. I directed it, did all the animation, scored the music, and they were just like flipping out at IDW, going, "Holy crap! It sounds just like the theme, but it's not."
That's awesome.
I inverted all the notes.
It was brilliant. Really
Great.
And
Yeah,
you're
I'm kind of smart.
That's nice.
accomplished, man. That's impressive. Very good stuff.
Do you guys think that the scores should come before the movie or like the picture?
There's no
or
question that as you go into it, you should give your composers more time. Now, you look at like John Williams and Jaws. He did that. And Spielberg was like looking at him like, dun, 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 dun. And just like, I don't hear it. I don't hear it. But he played it for him early on. And I think that a composer should be given more time because the problem is like with most filmmaking, your scores aren't done until the last 2 weeks before it's released.
yeah.
Wow.
They wait to the very end, and I think that's wrong for them to do that.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking like in some movies anyway. I don't know if this is common or not, but to kind of show them what they'll be putting music over and then have them compose something around that. Is that a common type of thing to have the music kind of match what's going on in scenes?
When you go back to George Lucas is one of my greatest references for this because he had the soundtrack concept in his head. And he had specific songs by Wagner and all these great composers already. He would listen to them as he was like sitting there writing, and he would play those as he prepared to do his scenes. And then he turned that over to John Williams, and John Williams then knew exactly what George was looking for. And so, which is why there's a heavy Wagnerian feel to a lot of the music in Star Wars. And it's brilliant, and it helps a lot of these composers if they're limited in the time to get the compositions done, to have reference music it's just like when I'm doing artwork. People go, well, just draw this thing here, and I hope you'll get it done. And it's like, I'm like, well, what do you see as this character? If I'm going to create this new character, do you see a person, a face? Because I don't want to sit there and spend 5 weeks on drawing something that you're just going to keep rejecting because it's not what you're seeing, And so letting me see a reference of somebody like an actor, model, or a friend that they see as this character, it's the same thing with music. It's like if you give a composer a chance to hear what you kind of think would fit your scene, they'll try to do that. And John Williams did it in spades. And there's dead silence. Are you guys there? Hello?
No, sorry. No. I wasn't sure if there was...
I fell asleep while you're talking.
No, wasn't sure if there was more to that or not. But that's great. Yeah, I love hearing this soundtrack stuff, especially since more, in a way, the music is what is part of what really, helps guide the experience while you're watching a film. Because
it does.
If it's bad, you'll really notice it. If it's good, it'll stick with you longer in your head, and you won't even realize that you're doing the theme You know, you're going, oh yeah, I'm doing the da na 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 Jurassic Park or something. You'll get it stuck in your head as you go. Suicide Squad. Oh my God, they just like, oh, let's play some music that people like, and that's the whole thing.
There's a difference between composing and bringing songs into a movie. And it's like, yeah, that's not composing. Like, I was just watching a documentary on Bullet the other day, and the movie of Steve McQueen, and in the film they had this like immense. It was the first real movie chase scene, and I mean, Gone in 60 Seconds competes for that, but Bullet was really the first real cop chase movie, and they wanted a soundtrack. They wanted to rip in, and they wanted something powerful. And Lalo Schifrin walked in there, and he listened to what they recorded, the sound effects and the actual sounds from the cars and the engines, and he says, I don't think I should write one single note over this. Your soundtrack is those engines and those tires. And so when you watch the chase scene from the movie Bullet, there's no music.
Huh.
Wow.
Brilliant. It's brilliant because it really does. The sound of the shifting gears, the engines revving, those tires squealing as they're going into turns. Amazing. Hey, buddy. I see fanzines here.
Hey, I want to back up for just a second.
Yeah.
Start this on because we were talking about the score for Tenet, because I was looking up who did the score for The Mandalorian, because I watched a little piece on this guy's name.
Oh, that hippie is so amazing.
Hey, unbelievable. Ludwig Göransson.
He's like, totally peace, man. Long hair. What's going on, man? I just wanted to create something that gave you a sense of zen, man.
For real. I saw that too, yeah.
It's fucking amazing what he did. I love that soundtrack. Everybody kept going, I hate it. And then like a week later, they were like, I changed my mind. It was really good.
Exactly. Exactly. It sticks in your head. And then I liked it right away just because I'm cool like that, regardless of what Gary says. But I did see that piece, man. He's like, oh man, he's like, I don't know, man, stoned as hell or something. But
he looked high. He really did.
He could barely get out the explanation of how he came up with it. But it turns out he did the score for Tenet also. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I actually, the droning, because there's still a lot of droning in the movie Tenet. But for some reason, it didn't feel overwhelming. And that's my problem with Hans Zimmer, is he overwhelms with the drone. Because, you should feel like you're in the movie and the music should help guide you. His takes over sometimes. And I didn't feel that way with Tenet. And I kept going, is this Hans Zimmer? So I went and looked it up, and that's why I know. I'm like, who did the score to this? This is different than what's on. Oh, he moved away from Hans Zimmer. Yay. Yeah. I'm always happy when Hans Zimmer doesn't get work.
Clearly. I haven't seen Tenet yet. I almost went this past weekend to go check that out.
Check it out. It is really a good film. I like the main character. Just his name is protagonist, and I thought a lot of in fact, there were a few moments where I had to back it up and go, wait a minute, what just happened here? Because you'll have moments where people are going forward in time and the others are going backward. And I love the fact that when they do the military scene, soldiers that are wearing blue ribbons are moving backward in time, and the soldiers with red are moving forward in time, which goes straight back to Einstein, because he talked about the closer to light that you get.
Yeah.
When it's moving a certain direction, your dominant color is red.
Light refraction.
Yeah. And when you look at something traveling away from you, it turns blue. I think that's how it goes. It's been a while since I've read
one of those. Yeah.
Einstein's theory of relativity. But as I recall, it's blue and red. And I thought that was very clever that he threw that in there, and it's very subtle.
I wouldn't have thought that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and just like talk about Tenet, but I liked the film. I felt that it could have been shorter and more tightly written, but damn it, I was still entertained all the way to the end.
What I've basically watched or /read is that it's a little hard to follow in the beginning, but then the second half of the movie really.
That's because the first two scenes, it's exactly, you're right. It's hard to follow at first because those first two scenes, you're not really where you're supposed to be in the story. And so I think he wants you to feel a little bit like, what the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden the story gets going. And it's those first two scenes, it's kind of confusing. And even I was confused by it. I'm like, okay, what the hell? Who's this? What's going on here? Who are these guys?
Yeah. And his name is Protagonist? He never gets a name?
Yeah, he uses a name at one point, but it's a fake name. He doesn't have a name. He never gets called anything throughout the whole film. And I think there's even a reference to him being the protagonist.
Interesting. And just based on what you've seen, would you say there's potential for a sequel, or is this a one and done Inception? That's it.
The ending was unnecessarily ambiguous in a way, and I felt that they should have wrapped it up, but that they didn't wrap it up leaves the element of maybe a future sequel, in my opinion.
That's cool. I mean, when a good one, and he doesn't typically do sequels, does he? Christopher Nolan's like usually a straightforward. Here's your
outside of Batman, he's never been interested in it.
That makes sense. I mean, because having watched Interstellar or specifically Inception, I was just like, yeah, like I said a minute ago, the rewatchability of it is kind of not so good. Once you've seen the ending, you're like, oh, okay. But
well, it's like Interstellar is not something that I would want to watch more than once. I saw it, I get it, good story, I'm done.
Yeah,
I don't.
Interstellar 4, Back in Time to the Future of the Present.
Yep. and linear time caves to only one thing: a father and daughter's love.
Indeed. If I saw the movie, I'd probably know that reference.
Yeah.
I do look forward to seeing it. I do think that based on all the reviews and everything that it's worth, checking out, especially in the theater. I would do anything to get out into a freaking theater. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go see it. Have you seen Bill and Ted's latest?
Hell yeah. I saw the opening night on VOD. Hell yeah. My woman and I, we sat and watched it, and I was all laughing and crying, and I was like, I don't want it to end. That's how much I enjoyed it. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as the original film. You just can't recapture that. But it was a really nice conclusion. And you got one creator that wants to make more, and you have the other creator that says, I'm done.
I don't see. I mean, they technically didn't even need to make this one. I have not seen it yet, but it's like, I don't know. They kind of ended the last, Bill and Ted 2 with like they played in front of the world essentially.
If you make a second film, you should always have a third, a trilogy. It's just the way our brains are.
I kind of disagree because sometimes it's just
you would
like, well, okay, well, why is it necessary to always just make because trilogy? Like, I don't know.
It's called OCD.
Oh, you want to have the 3-packs? I gotcha with all that.
It's all with me. It's OCD. If I get flipped out by the weirdest shit, and it's like,
you said my name right.
Yeah, flipped out. What's up, Flip? Yeah. See, I'm looking over here. I'm trying to keep up on the comments. Not much dealing with the craziness. Hope all goes well, Flip. Oh, Fancy's wishing you well, but doesn't say shit to me. Thanks, buddy.
He said your name is Jerry if you read up there a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you got to take a drink now because you said Jerry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm more of the, as far as with the movie thing, it's like, I look at Police Academy 7 and 8, or I don't know, the 8th one, they're like 7.
Yeah,
there's like Home Alone. There's like 5 or 6 Home Alone movies for some reason.
I watched the first 2 of those too, and it's like, when I heard what the third one was, I'm like, I will not watch that.
See, the third one's probably, out of the following ones, is the least worst out of the following ones behind it, but it's still unnecessary in general. Like, and that's what I mean by having unnecessary films. It's like, 2 kind of, did it as far as it was, and
no,
I haven't seen 3, so I can't judge, but I don't know.
There are certain films that really, Over Easy said no, Godfather 2 should have ended, and I agree. Godfather 3 was garbage. I can think of other ones, and Barry says it too, that Keanu, in many ways, I think he was throwing Winters a bone, because the guy's a documentarian now. He's not making a lot of money, and gave him a chance to get a good payday, and because Keanu was not playing Ted the way he played him in the past. He was really kind of deadpan and almost like he's like, dude, I played John Wick too long. I don't know how to do this anymore.
Right.
He's not no longer the comedian anymore. He's the action hero guy. He's not the yeah, bro. What's up? Oh yeah, it's yeah,
even though when you see the scene in John Wick when he's like going, everybody keeps asking me if I'm back. I mean, that's absolutely Ted talking. That is no longer John Wick.
Yeah.
That's Ted talking.
So what's up with that, right?
You know, did anybody else feel that way? Did you guys feel that when you saw that scene? That did not sound like John Wick. It sounded like Ted.
Oh, no, I kind of equated it more to he was just getting suffocated before that, I think. So I don't know.
He's doing his voice. Oh,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge Keanu fan. I always have been.
Yep.
Well, he's a good guy inside and outside of his work. That's kind of easy to like with somebody. But I saw that in the trailers that he wasn't coming off like, you know, Ted as much as he.
Well, he always had a stupid smile on his face, and he doesn't really smile in the movie.
Yeah. It looks like.
Oh, see, was this the first movie that his co-star has been in since Bill and Ted? Because I don't even know his name.
No, he did a few movies in the '90s, and then he just sort of disappeared, and now he's a documentarian, which is how he makes his living.
There's a weird movie with Alex Winters you got to watch, Rookie. God, what is the name? I'm looking it up. He like is part of this clan who's in a circus or whatever. Have you seen this, Jerry?
Hold on a second. I'll look it up and see if I have.
Yeah, it is a twisted, strange movie. It's like this. You would almost
because he was in Lost Boys. Really? He was also in that movie with Sean and Christopher Penn with Christopher Walken. Because I think he's one of the guys that gets murdered in the movie. And the song it was the only decent song I think Madonna ever did was to that movie. But I'm going to go look at his titles right now. He did Freaked.
It's called Freaked.
Yeah, I saw that movie, 1993. I was in the Army, but I saw it. I saw it on post.
Yeah. Oh wow, there's a lot of stuff he's in.
He did a lot of voice work, as I recall, too.
Huh.
But Lost Boys is one of my favorite things that he was ever in. And what is that movie? I'm trying to find it right now. I could swear he was in that Sean Penn movies. I'll look that up. Google,
I'm going to go ahead.
No, I was just saying Google doesn't always show every movie when you look somebody up, and I get annoyed by that. You should show everything.
Truly.
At close range, and I'm pretty sure he was in that.
At close range. Strange. A lot of times, you'll see duos that, have good chemistry on screen together continue, even though they won't use the same franchise. They might be in another movie together. And so I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a different type of movie altogether, whether they were co-star together or just in the same movie together. Because, show business is all about who you know, not always about what you know.
Yeah.
It would have been, I don't know, maybe Alex was just,
Nope, I'm wrong. I got a different actor, the kid who played Evil Ed in Fright Night is the kid I got mixed up in that one. So there you go.
Great 80s movie. Great 80s movie.
Oh, Fright Night? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the sequel to that really.
Yeah, no doubt.
Fright Night doubled than before. The sequel.
Yeah, because we were all expecting Evil Ed to be back, and then we get this like he's in college, different girlfriend, and he's got a new best friend, played by somebody completely different.
Yeah,
Merritt Buttrick played his best friend in that one in Fright Night 2. You remember Merritt Buttrick? He played Kirk's son in 2 of the Star Trek films. Young actor that died of AIDS in I think 1990, 92, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I've only seen the Christopher Lloyd version of Star Trek and only glimpses of that one, so got none of that under my belt. Not yet, but let's go on to one last topic around here. If you guys are looking for it or anything. Was there something else that you wanted to bring up tonight, Gary?
Well, I wouldn't mind talking about Dune, but we can talk about whatever you want.
No, you are our guest, so if you would like to talk about Dune, let's do it.
Dune.
So I saw the trailer today, and I was just very pleased with it. And I had a lot of discussions over on Facebook today with people. I think some of my favorites were like, why did they cast a kid? And I'm like going, in the book he was 15. Well, he's too tiny. And I'm like, geez, do I need to quote Yoda here?
They want to see a kid the size of The Rock and have that be.
They kept casting older guys to play Paul Atreides.
Yeah,
it's like
weird.
Well, in general, they usually cast people that are like 35 to play 18 or something. So it's like, I don't know. It's all right.
that.
Yeah.
It's like takes you back to like the days when Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin did that film where they were in high school and they were like in their 40s playing teenagers. It was funny.
Oh yeah.
Well, it wasn't funny because it was funny. It was funny because, oh man, come on, man, you are not 18 years old.
I even tried. The Dune trailer was amazing, man.
Yeah, it was.
I was 8 years old when it first came out on, the attempt.
Original.
Yeah, the attempt. That's what I call it, the attempt.
We'll never get to see the final 4-hour cut that he had, though, which was sort of like his work print.
Yeah,
and we'll never get to see it.
It's sad, man. Believe it or not, I haven't read the book. I mean, not everyone has, but I did see the original, and I was told a lot of the things that were different about it. And that always drove me nuts that, well, we'll never get the Dune movie the way it's supposed to. And then, of course, CGI came out, and over the years, effects have gotten better. And then you had the guy who do Blade Runner 2. What's his name? Vinny Delavenue?
Yeah, Vinny. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Dennis
Villeneuve. Yeah. And I remember watching, there was like a thing about Dune, like a 30-minute, documentary on it. And they were talking about how everyone wanted him to, see if he could accomplish what the book had done, but only on film.
Right.
And I was, from that moment on, very excited. They said that the moodiness and the overall look has been, he sort of mastered that within the look of Blade Runner 2. Would you agree with that? Or?
I have if you guys don't know, I'm the founder of bladezone.com, the Blade Runner fan club, the #1 Blade Runner site in the world.
Whoa.
And I stepped away from it in 2002, but I still manage the Facebook page. And basically, Blade Zone.
Blade Zone, okay.
Yeah. And basically, what made Ridley Scott's film so amazing wasn't the script. It was what he visually did. The movie was all over the place because, he was fired multiple times from the film, and he was at constant odds with the Blade Runner partnership, which was David York, Bud Yorkin, and Jerry Parenchio. And they just flat out didn't like him. And he had great difficulty getting the film done. There were scenes that were supposed to be shot that were never shot. One character got written out, which is how we ended up with the number flub in the dialogue that changed for years until they fixed it finally in the final cut. And but when you go back and you watch it, there's something that happens when you watch Blade Runner. You are taken away. You're brought into a world with great texture, depth. You can get lost in it. That doesn't occur in Denis Villeneuve's film. His film is more sterile. And he tried to say, well, it's 35 years later. And I'm like going, I've been to Los Angeles since I was a kid in the 60s, and many times over the decades. And I still can find my way around because it doesn't change that much. The streets stay the same.
Right.
And historic locations stay the same. And the big thing about Blade Runner was that it was retrofitted, that instead of like new buildings going up, it was shit being built onto the buildings that were there because human life was trying to get off planet. So money was going to be put into building all these new buildings. And it was all about industry, because industry is what was driving the economy in Blade Runner, like Tyrell's corporation. And so Denny immediately does away with that, and he loses the texture. There's no texture in the film. The only scene that I felt had any at all was the junkyard and inside of Kay's apartment. Was interesting until you get in the living room, and then it was just more smooth walls, and there was a lot of smooth and clean surfaces. It didn't look lived in. And that was the thing that, Ridley Scott worked really hard at, to make everything look lived in, because this is a retrofitted society. And it's hard to believe Sid Mead, worked on the film. I like the spinner in the new film, but it still fundamentally didn't look as cool as the spinner in the original film. And it's just simply visually, the first film still stands out as the better film, and is listed by both the American Film Institute and the British Film Institute as one of the single most influential films of the 20th century. And that'll never happen with Blade Runner 2049. And that's where I stand on that flip.
So you think Dennis was sort of a difficult director to work with, or because he seems to?
I've never heard anything bad about him. I don't know. I guess I should look that up. I don't know. I think that he made a mistake, which is why there was a bit of conflict between him and Ridley over the film, because Ridley, I think, pretty much agreed with me that there should have been a visual connection between this new film and the original film. You should feel visually connected to it. They should feel like they're first cousins, not second or third cousins. And that's how it felt. It felt like the look was too far away from it. So,
yeah, Dune really does capture my imagination. They showed a little bit about the with them fighting with their personal shields on. I can't remember what they're called. Awesome.
I keep forgetting. Weirding is actually the voice thing. What is that called? Shit.
It's like a shield. Sting and Paul were fighting. I don't remember Sting's name in the movie, but they were fighting.
He was Fide.
Yeah, and it looked really cubic. It's the only way I can say cubic.
The effects in the original film were just not very good.
Right.
It was just like, you walk in and is that the final look at those effects? Really?
Right.
Good luck. I mean, the effects in that film are the thing that doesn't. I mean, we were already seeing Return of the Jedi. And how could you put a film out that looks like that after Return of the Jedi came out? Come on. Audiences expected something better than that. And I see Das Wolfen is in the room. Yep, is Fide Rothet, or as they call him, some fans call him Fade. I call him Fide.
Who's playing Fade in this movie?
Shit, I don't know. I know who's playing Beast Raban is the guy from Blade Runner 2049, the big wrestler dude that was in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. That dude.
And Dave Bautista is in this as well.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. David Bautista is playing Beast.
Okay.
I don't know who's playing Fade. Hey, Das Wolfen, do you know who's playing him in the new film? We can go on talking because it'll take him a minute or so to
yeah, no problem.
But I think that basically the casting in this is really good. I think the one that upset me initially was that Sharon Duncan, what's her last name? Brewster? She got cast as Liet Kynes, which was originally played in the 1984 film by Dutch actor. I just forgot his name. I like getting old. Dune, 1984 cast. Oh, I'm going to feel like an idiot. He's in Conan.
It's such a neat premise, man. Like the spice, it basically runs the universe. It's got medicinal properties, helps them go, faster than light or whatever. It's fuel for their ships. It's also a hallucinogen.
It's life altering. It's by the way, it's Max von Sydow.
Oh, yeah.
Played the part of Liet
Also,
in the original film, and they gender flipped him and made it a female character. And I thought, oh, is this the hill I'm going to die on? And then I went, no, really, that character is not that important.
Sure.
So I'm like, that's fine if they want to gender flip that character. I think the casting pretty much is really good. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But the spice, going back to that, yeah, because it's used for everything. And George Lucas borrowed from Dune in a lot of the stuff. Tatooine was based on Arrakis, and he mentioned spice. The spice mines of Kessel.
Oh, that's right, he does.
And that was something I had to go through as a kid with my fellow nerds. They would pronounce my last name as Kessel.
Oh, Jerry Kessel.
Yeah, I still have friends. Would you just call me Jerry? Just fucking Jerry. Take a drink, Flip.
Okay.
Gus Wolfen said, I didn't know and looked it up on IMDb, and it doesn't say who plays Fade. Yeah, they're keeping it secret. It'll be Sting again.
Right. And they George Lucas actually borrowed some of the art, apparently, from what I hear.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. To help promote what he was doing, yeah, it would make sense for him to use some Dune art.
Yeah, I guess. And then the worms. Now, they are the ones that produce the spice.
Well, we don't learn that until later.
Oh.
Yeah, that's something that's not given. I mean, there were things that were in the 1984 film that took place actually in another book. They kind of sped things up, like the raining. That didn't happen until the Children of Dune book. And I'm not sure if Paul finds out the secret of the worms. He may have found it out. Now I think about it, I think he did find out the secret of the worms in the first book. That they were the ones that made the spice melange.
And then also, apparently, Paul isn't the chosen one in this. That's yet to come, right? And this is sort of a battle to keep him in.
I think that it's his children that end up because it's like Star Wars. He has twins, and a boy and a girl, which again I think was borrowed from in the expanded Star Wars universe. For Solo's children.
Yep.
I think it was directly borrowed from Dune, the Children of Dune. And I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. I know my buddy Rob over at Midnight's Edge is not a fan. He considers it pretentious. But in the book, I think can be kind of pretentious because he really does. Frank Herbert really, really, really drones on about certain things. And instead of just cutting to the story and just get to the point. And writers can do that, but I don't know if that's being pretentious or not. But he's just not a Dune fan over at Midnight's Edge. While everybody else, like Tom and Andre, are, and I'm a huge fan. It's the first time I ever read serious science fiction was Dune. Before that, I was reading Arthur C. Clarke, Robert Heinlein, and but to me, Dune is really stepping into getting away from Earth and talking, because like it takes place I think 1,000 or 2,000 years in our future, and we're really getting away from Earth to where we have these planets, Getty Prime, and all, just all these different names and places, and it's just fascinating to me, these worlds. That was one thing that I feel that he was a master of, his world building, Frank Herbert.
Mm-hmm. From what I understand, the planets play a large part in this. Not just this movie; they're going to make a trilogy. Apparently, they're their own characters, so to speak.
Oh, wait a second. Das Wolfen says, I have seen some rumors that the guy who played Joker on Gotham will be playing Fade. That would be interesting. I think he's a good actor. And he's definitely the type.
Yeah, he seems about right. He was on the Gotham TV show, played the Joker. Yeah, that guy seems about right.
Like Jeremy, and then it's like, come on, he's the Joker. Stop it.
I don't know. The kid that plays Paul, is there something I might have seen him in? But he seems like a experienced actor, at least in the trailer. I know I'm seeing very little, but he seems to be doing a good job. What
I've seen him in 3 things. He was in what the hell's that movie? Lady Bird, with that Irish girl that was in the movie Hannah. And he was in Beautiful Boy and the movie King, where he played Henry for Netflix, Henry V. And it was not a very good film. They were great actors. Everybody was really good in it. But I felt it paled in comparison to the actual Shakespearean story.
I see. Well, it's good to know he has those kind of traditional acting chops. That might be what I'm saying. Just everything's timing in that sort of thing. Counting in your head, remembering your lines, a lot of cool stuff like that.
And I just heard that he was in another movie, the remake of Little Women.
Oh boy, can't miss that.
Yeah, that falls under Jane Austen, who the rookie has never heard of.
Hey, Gary, have you heard of Foundation? It's a new show coming to Apple.
Yeah, the books too. Yeah.
Okay.
Foundation novels. Yeah.
Was that Asimov?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. They say that
they have a tendency though, and you got to be cautious, Flip. I'm very cautious when I'm going to watch an adaptation of one of my favorites, because as much as I enjoyed Starship Troopers, that is not Starship Troopers, the book. Doesn't even come close. So when I hear that they're going to be doing, Foundation trilogy, I'm like, I'll wait and see if it's going to be any good, because interpretation can really mess it up.
Yeah, no doubt. I've never heard of Foundation before, and I know that sucks. I was watching something the other night about Dune, and this pops up as an alternative. If you liked this, you'll like this. And I realized it was the series of books. And as you know, most say 99.9% of all book adaptations to film don't quite hit the mark. But man, it looks really interesting. And apparently they go from generation to generation. There is no protagonist, so to speak, in the whole series. Have you actually read those books?
I have never read them, so I have no opinion on them. I love Isaac Asimov. I have read some of his books, but that was more, like some of my chums in high school. They were really into the Foundation series, and they were in my ear, but I was like, not my. I had a very specific kind of science fiction I wanted to read, and I stuck to those specific kinds of books as a kid. Yeah. Like even my fantasy, it's like I read The Hobbit, and I read the Lord of the Rings, and then I didn't really want to read anything else in the fantasy realm. Sure. You got to read Shannara, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to read it. No,
oh man,
I'm done. I read my fantasy. I'm done.
Then watch them. Read the next one. Read the next one. Then here's another one.
Yeah, it's like no, thank you. It's like I pretty much read things like Arthur C. Clarke was my primary read. Him and Ray Bradbury I've read everything that they wrote. I love their writing. Bradbury is about focusing on character-driven stories, while Arthur C. Clarke was a scientist. So his was really heavy science oriented books. And I'm a science guy. And I love science. And the furthest I got away from that was when I read the first 3 Dune novels. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I was like, hey, there's more books you can read. I'm like, oh my God, no, that's just, I can't read any more of that. I'm done. It's just too much.
Sci-fi are really fun to read or really tiring, like depending on the writer, can be exhausting.
Yep. And Pebble in the Sky is like one of my favorite novels. And I think that was Asimov. And I really like the story of that. But I was also, I'm a Philip K. Dickian, and not just because of Blade Runner. I really like his short stories. And I'm fascinated with his writing because he dealt with a theme that I really identified with. I don't have schizophrenia like he did. But I really like the concept of, am I who I think I am, and are these memories mine? and that's a running theme in pretty much everything he wrote. And I found that fascinating. That basically you're reading his psychopathy.
Yeah, some people have a way of doing that in their books. They start to drift off into their own, secret person. I want to switch gears for just a second because I know we're about to close the shop. But what do you think about the Space Force? I've done a lot of reading, and you mentioned you're a science guy. So what do you think about this?
I fucking love it. It's like I got mad when it happened because I'm like, why didn't that happen when I was in the Army? I would have gone. I always wanted to be in something like Space Force.
Me too.
And we got it. People they like to make fun of it, and I'm like, I don't understand why they do, because I'm like, oh, if Obama had named it that, you would have just like flipped over it. Come on.
Yeah.
Space Force, give me a break. That is the most amazing thing ever. And I guarantee you, Trump didn't name it, and it's been something that's been in the works for a long time, because Russia has had a Space Force since the 80s, a military Space Force. And we are finally doing it out in the open, because we've been doing things off the books for a long time. A lot of people don't know about it. And the fact is, to finally have it out there to where it's like, I can serve. I'm mad that it didn't happen when I was in the Army, because I definitely would have switched. I would have left the Army in a heartbeat and joined Space Force. Space Force.
I love their logo. Or their insignia. It looks
very Star Trek. Yeah.
And I'm down with that. Did you see the interview with Elon Musk and the chief general of Space Force? It was
no.
Oh yeah, it was fairly recent. I want to say a couple months ago though. And Elon was like, "Oh, the days of fighter pilots, it's over. It's past." And the general
it's a transition. It's sort of like when we transition from fly-by-wire to the technology we use now for flying, since really late 70s. And there, there's always a transition, and it's because there's so much movement towards going into space that we have to have military security up there. We have to have it, and I'm looking forward to having somebody I'm related to be in Space Force. Somebody in my family being in Space Force.
Yeah, definitely. And back in July of this year, on the 15th, maybe 2 months, 3 months before that, Russia sent up a satellite, and they were watching it, and then a second satellite popped out of the Russian satellite. And I don't have numbers what their designations were, but and then the original satellite came close to one of our spy satellites and sidled up next to it. The government freaked out and told Russia they can't do that, so they left. But their secondary satellite ended up on July 15th of 2020 firing an object of some sort into deep space. They believe it was a missile. So you can check it out and look it up on YouTube. You'll find it if you keep looking. But so Russia had actually intended to scope out our satellite and, if need be, fire on it, because it's a spy satellite, I guess, or an assumed spy satellite. So, whether this is true or not, it's been reported anyway. And it just goes to show that, that's what the whole Space Force is mostly up against, basically above Earth, low Earth orbit, LEO, destruction or whatever of satellites, jamming satellites, getting rid of them. There are, as we speak, not counting Elon Musk's, satellites up there, because, he's trying to get 12,000 satellites up there. I think he has 900 now, something like that. But not counting that, there are over 2,400 satellites encompassed around low Earth orbit around the Earth. It's a lot. And we're talking about satellites that are used for global navigation, weather, science, just any number of reasons that are up there. And if they go out, well, military use as well for strategic, targets. You want to be accurate and not blow some some family off the Earth, but there's a lot of stuff up there that will be in danger. So they were saying that they're not looking at having spaceships that fly around and have dogfights up there just yet, because there's no reason to do that yet. But
Yeah, zero grav combat's going to be weird.
yeah,
You can't really fire projectiles unless you have an equal thrust to go in the opposite direction, because anything in zero grav that you fire will push you backwards, which is why I've always laughed at the movie Outland, that they were firing shotguns in low grav. And I'm like, you would not do that. Nobody would do that.
I guess you could shoot lasers, but even that would carry some.
Well, you can fire things like because photons and plasma are potential. I mean, we've used plasma now, and you can use it as a weapon. Weaponized plasma, all these things don't have what's referred to as a recoil. You have to avoid a recoil.
Yeah.
And you can make plasma weapons and fire lasers. Lasers can definitely, but they're so it's not like Star Wars where it comes out like a little laser boat.
Yeah,
it's a straight line, and you got to be careful how you move your weapon when you're firing it. You need precision control, so you don't just drag it over the wrong thing. Sorry about that arm, Billy. I was shooting the guy behind you, and I dragged my weapon. And just shit happens in combat in space.
Yeah, I think it was the Russians or the Chinese. One of them took a Gatling gun hooked up to a satellite up there recently to test it. Also, something you can find on YouTube.
Oh, I bet that went really well.
Yeah, you're telling, right? Because you're right. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You fire a gun, you're going to go backwards in a similar speed and fashion.
Yeah, just if you fire something that has a recoil to it, it's going to move you. It's a propellant. That's all it is. A shotgun in space is a propellant.
Do you think that they're coming up with the Space Force? I think they're doing it for a good reason. It's not to be laughed at. There's some deadly serious reasons they have this.
Oh yeah.
But do you think?
Where's this going?
Well, I'm just saying, we're all trying to get to the moon to mine the moon. There's helium-3. There's alloys that are naturally magnetic, which is very weird and odd. And we want those expensive and very usable items here. They'll fetch quite a bit of money. Mm-hmm. But China is basically trying to get there. Obviously, they won't even say how they landed their, what was it, Chang'e on the dark side of the moon. They won't even say how they did that because no one typically has a lot of success trying to land on the dark side of the moon.
We are in a Cold War right now with China.
Yeah.
People don't realize it. That's why seeing Disney having a cozy relationship with them is very concerning.
Hence the failure of Mulan on a worldwide scale.
I do believe that played a huge part in people not watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it. It's not that bad. It's a good film. I gave it a B- on my review with ScreenRadar.com. Read my reviews over at ScreenRadar.com. ScreenRadar.com. I write reviews every once in a while when I have time, and I wrote a review for it. It was a favorable review, but I wrote in that review, I'm very concerned by their coziness with the Chinese Communist government. This is not a friendly government. It's a very dangerous government. It oppresses its people. They say, oh, people in America are oppressed. No, we're not. We are not oppressed in this country at all. You're stupid. You're a moron if you think we are. But China does. China does it all the time. People disappear over there all the time. Yeah. Never seen it. They're sent to re-education camps or just disappeared. They're killed. And it's horrifying that this is still going on in the 21st century. And they're the most dangerous enemy to this country, not Russia. I'm not concerned about Russia. Russia's a corporation now.
Yes, they are.
A buddy of mine was like, do you think we're going to go to war with Russia? And I'm like, hell no. They'll lose money if we go to war. China, on the other hand, you got to watch them. They're dangerous.
Greatest economy in 2019. Greatest economy in the world.
Yeah. And they see us as a threat. And if we don't see them as a threat, we're idiots.
Of course. And it's so weird because over there they have this these people protesting in favor of democracy, land of the free, waving, the American flag. Over here we have quite the opposite when it comes to protests. It's no surprise to me that Mulan, that girl came out, the lead actress of it.
She was so stupid to do that.
I mean, she's basically saying the communist regime is, where it's at. You guys gotta, come be communists.
I'm a big supporter. I have a lot of friends who are cops. I support my law enforcement friends. I support law enforcement. I don't agree with some of the things they do sometimes. But then again, I'm a veteran and I have issues with the military and some of the things we did there. But the fact is I still support my fellow veterans and I support law enforcement. And I get that. I get it when somebody says that. But when you say you support law enforcement in a communist regime, I take issue with that because that's not really law enforcement. That is an oppressive part of a totalitarian government.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she said that, she cut her own throat for that, or cut Disney's throat. That hurt business.
She sure did. A lot of people would have went for sentimental value or, to relive their childhood. And obviously I've read and heard a lot of these reviews and they've taken out a lot of the stuff from the cartoon. In fact, to a degree that it's like not even the same show or movie or whatever. But yeah, she shot them in the foot, shot herself in the foot. But I'm glad it happened. Honestly, I'm very glad that happened. Someone needs to make $1 billion mistake like that to show them what they're doing. Although I doubt they'll change their mind anytime soon. They've already got the NFL.
They have to answer. The NFL has I don't know what's going on. How their investors are okay with losing that much money,
right? Unless they stand to make more from the opposite. That's fine. When Trump said, I'm draining the swamp. This brought out a whole bunch of hostility at him. And I know we're getting off the entertainment edge of this, but still, it's when you drain the swamp, you have to expect some kickback, right?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Dust Wolfen just said something that made me giggle.
Yeah.
And you can get materials back from the moon easily with a catapult launcher. I totally agree with that. But the image in my head was so fucking retardedly funny. Just a bunch of guys go load it into the scoop. 4
trebuchet and 3.
But I don't know why, but it reminded me of I'm friends with a movie director who made an alien abduction horror film. And I became friends with him because I wrote a review for his film and I made fun of him because I said, you got this technologically advanced space aliens that have somehow traveled through time and space to get to Earth. And what do they choose as their weapons? Dead birds. They throw dead birds at the people. And I laughed so hard at that scene when I watched the movie and I just started laughing. I'm like, they're just throwing birds at them? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And he's like, well, and I also made fun of the fact that he said Project Blue Book was still going into the 90s. And I'm like, no, it ended in 1968, shut down. What's happened since then, we don't even know the name of it. But Project Blue Book was a thing done just for society to try to explain away UFOs, which is where I thought you were going, by the way, with UFOs. You're asking about Space Force.
Oh, that's Now I can see why naturally you might think that with my.
Because I do believe in extraterrestrials, and I do believe they potentially are a threat.
Oh yeah, me too, 100%. And they
because we have proof. We now have absolute proof that there is something. We don't know if it's space aliens or if it's time shifting or what they are, but there's something out there.
You could show, the issue is you could show people, you can have a real humans touch an alien for legit physical proof.
Oh, it's not real.
There'd be people that say it's not real. No, but I don't blame them either, though, because if you're to just tell me, oh yeah, in in Africa and aliens touch down and they're real, I'd be like, well, I don't know. I don't know. I got to see something real happen. Otherwise, I'm not sure. But I think Flip and I can go on about aliens forever on here for sure. That's like its own stream, if anything. But let's start wrapping it up. Was there some new projects that you're working on, or some new videos or streams that you guys are doing coming up soon?
Well, you never know. I've got an interview with Dick Dizell, who is the host from the region where I lived in the U.S. I lived outside of Washington, D.C. in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And he was the entire Northern Virginia, part of Maryland and Washington, D.C.'s movie horror host. Plus, in the mornings and afternoons, he was Captain 20, who looked like a Vulcan, and he had the eyebrows and he did this. And he would host cartoons and shows like Ultraman when I was growing up. And he's still doing the show on YouTube. And you can actually, if you got Roku, you can actually download the app to watch a show through Roku. And it's called Creature Feature with Count Gore Duvall. And Keith and I did a 2-hour, it was meant to be a 45-minute interview, but it was so much fun. We talked for about 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I finally had to just go, look, we need to save the rest of this for another interview because there was so much more to talk about. And I love this guy. He had an impact on a lot of kids in that region of the U.S. And now he's global. Kids are and adults are watching him still around the world. And he's this vampire that introduces horror movies and talks about them and interviews people on his show. And he inspired me to do a lot of what I did. And we have an interview coming up. It'll be this weekend with Count Gore Duvall.
Oh, sweet.
And Dick is such a lovable guy. He's so nice. And I'm so crass.
This is going to be on your channel or on his channel?
He's going to be on our show. And
nice.
I think he's going to be sharing it on his stuff too. Because, it's a fun interview. And he's such a likable guy. And I love doing interviews with him. I'm planning to I just sent a message. I'm going to be having Phil Morris back on the show. He, of course, is Dr. Silas Stone from Doom Patrol. And he was the Martian Manhunter in Smallville. And he's a friend of mine. And I'm going to be having him on again here soon. I'd like to, get Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon back on the show. So we've got a lot of good interviews already lined up, and I'm looking forward to doing some more. The one that sucks is I can't do Rutger Hauer because he passed away, and we were actually planning to do an interview with him, and when he died, and it's like, oh shit, well that'll never happen now.
Wow.
And damn you, Rutger!
Why'd you have to go and die?
Dang it! I love that guy. There's a video on our channel. If nobody's ever checked it out, go to our channel. Look up the Rutger Hauer memorial video I put up because I talked about the first time I ever talked to him. And he was like on the phone with me and he kept burping in my ear. and I'm like,
it's Morse code. You just didn't catch on.
Yeah. He did one of these things where he speaks very softly. And he goes, well, that was like when I was up. And I'm like, did you? I think he just burped in my ear. And he did it like 3 times. And by the 3rd time, I'm fighting back laughing because I had this image of him sitting there in his boxer, scratching his balls and farting.
Yeah.
And he's so laid back. And I've shared this before because he's gone now, so I don't worry about it. But his personal email tells you everything about him. His personal email was fartville@aol.com.
Makes sense.
He never took himself seriously. He was a generous, kind, giving person. And what a great actor. I just got his last film. I just purchased it. And I haven't watched it yet. I'm looking forward to that. And past that, I'm doing this comic book with Barry. And eventually we're going to release it. We're keeping it under wraps right now. And I'm still working on my book, Vindicated Inc. Just finished scripts for 3 new chapters and got an editor. He's helping me with it. And then I'm going to finish those last 3 and we'll have It'll be a 128-page graphic novel.
Jesus. You guys going to do a crowdfunding campaign on that?
No, I'm just doing it on my own. And we did a crowdfunding campaign on it back a few years back, and it was successful. But the only people that got paid from that were the writers, and I fired the writers. And I love the writers, especially my buddy Shane. But I'm like, I can't use your scripts. You know, these scripts don't work. And I really was like dejected by that. You know, I really, like, what am I going to do? You know, I can't write and draw. No, I wrote and drew it. And so I've got 3 chapters finished, and I got 3 more to do. And I may do a crowdfunding for publishing.
Right, that's what I meant, to sell the book is what I meant.
I might. I don't know.
Yeah, if you do, or you need some exposure with that, Flip and I will be happy to have you on again to promote that book. No problem.
Yeah, sure. Of course. And I'm always doing book covers. I just finished another movie poster, and I'm doing a painting right now for commission for Stargate SG-1. And, you know, I'm always available for commissions. Anybody who wants to commission me to do some artwork, I don't care if it's pen and ink, paint. I don't care. Digital, real acrylic, I'll do it. I'm like the Beetlejuice of art world. I'll do anything.
That's great. Love it. All full down here. All right. And with that, Flip, was there any last things you wanted to announce before we head out?
Nothing in particular. We're still working on all the good stuff. I'm gonna be doing a stream not this Sunday, but the following Sunday with Final Death Star. It'll be all UFO stuff, and yeah, that's about it.
Wait, all UFO stuff? Oh,
Oh yeah,
I'll tune into that.
Yeah, my theory is that Final Death Star is an alien trying to communicate to mankind through Flipped Out. That's my theory. So we'll see what gets revealed then. But no, Flip, there's also this Sunday, Fallon Reacts is doing her Attack of the Clones on Nerd Talk podcast over there, I think. She's doing the Star Wars one. She did Phantom Menace on last Sunday and doing Attack of the Clones this Sunday, I think.
That's right. And we are recording a new, Fallon and I are recording a new FC podcast tomorrow. And that will be available only on the Patreon for a little while. And then we'll go on from there and put it up on the FC channel. But do check out the Patreon if you like, and you can see those and listen to those, first, right there.
Hell
and
yeah.
Barry, who's still in the room with us, is the editor on my book as well. We're pretty good friends. I like the cut of his jib.
Very good. Very good. All right, I like that. Yep. So we'll be peeking in on you every now and then, seeing your progress and whatnot, and
You had
we'll
to
see.
get creepy, didn't you? Yeah.
Oh yes. Well, I could just say we'll walk right in and sit right down. But
Walk in the room. What's up?
Yep, exactly. What's up? Just doing our daily peeping. That's all.
Josh
But
Wolf, thanks for stopping by. Barry, thanks for stopping by, man.
yep.
Barry.
Thank you everybody in the chat for coming around. Fan scene, Angelus Draven. Was that Don or Jasfire? Sorry, I'm away from the cameras. I can't see that from here. Das Wolf fan. What's up? Glad you guys came on by over easy mode. Thank you for dropping by as well. And yeah, so I'm not sure if we're gonna have one next week for another Nerd Blast, but perhaps we're trying to plan out some of our streams with some stuff going on and some bigger things, and we have some announcements soon coming. But we're
anytime you guys want to have me on, I'll be on. I enjoy this.
Hell yeah, buddy! You are on our list. All right, with that,
I'll even be a co-host with you, and somebody else can be a guest.
Indeed.
Maybe somebody new to pick on. I love that.
Makes sense. But with that, I think we're just going to close it out. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Good luck.